Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 3 Under Par podcast. This is a golf podcast where
Little White Ball's life.
I'm your host, ScottyTee, and I'm joined by T-Bone on my left, probably your right. How are you doing, T-Bone?
Chilling.
You doing good? What was that? For those
Just
listening,
a
he
little
just did like a little rah shake. That's why you need to go check us out on YouTube because we are recording live right now. You doing all right, man? Did you have a good weekend?
It was good.
T-Bone,
Yeah.
I'm going to wish you an early happy birthday.
Thanks, bro.
Dive right into that. Your birthday's on Wednesday, so
Yeah.
I guess day after this episode comes out. How old are you turning?
I
Or
don't
do you wanna say?
want to disclose to the public.
Okay, he's young though. Let's put it that way.
Not really, but
Kind
okay.
of.
Yeah.
This is like it's not a milestone age, but it's like, it's like I'm no longer young age.
Yeah.
We got a lot to talk about. I don't really want to mess around too much, but happy birthday.
Thank you.
You deserve it.
Appreciate it.
You are welcome. Arnold Palmer this week. Bay Hill, in my opinion, delivered. It was a blast to watch Tyrrell Hatton. Okay, because my last name is Tyrrell. I've always wanted this, but mine's Terrell. He is Tyrrell. How do you pronounce it? Is it Tyrrell?
I've always said Tyrrell.
Tyrell? I don't think it's Tyrell. I could be wrong.
Would you like to pronounce Joachim again?
Absolutely not. You need to follow us on social media at 300 Par Pod. That is the number 3. 300 Par Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you do. But please write a review on Apple Podcasts if you're here on YouTube. Hello. Glad you're here. Join us. The last episode actually did really well. So 2 episodes. We had the Bogey Brothers on. Awesome. Go check that out. Bogey Brothers are great. Last week was the Paul Azinger versus Tommy Fleetwood. That video actually did pretty well, especially for a like almost hour-long discussion that we had. People get fired up. The Europeans were not happy with Paul Azinger, which I didn't even realize that. Which I knew it, but like when you actually see a few of the comments and a few of the people that tweet back at you, you're like, oh man, like, they got really worked up about that. They were pretty triggered over the European comments, which look like, I don't blame you. Again, I don't think Paul Azinger was right, but I think he had a little bit of a point. And Tyrrell Hatton kind of proved this because when he won this week at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, he started getting emotional. He started tearing up. First PGA Tour win, if I'm not mistaken. You know, he's obviously won on the European Tour. But look, it was a grind out there at the Arnold Palmer. Did you have a chance? You're saying you didn't really have a chance to watch much of it?
I watched the 71st and 72nd hole.
Better than nothing.
Yeah.
Man, Leash had a pretty good chance, but when he needed to hit the shot on 18, he did not. And that pin is so tough. A Bay Hill on 18. People know because of Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods has made that hole very famous, just making bomb after bomb. It's that tucked right pin right over the water. Right hill, dude. Like, it's so iconic. It's Tiger roasting, burying people in the era, in the Tiger era. Last year, Molinari had it. This year, kind of, there wasn't a big make putt on 18 on the 72nd hole, but Tyrrell Hatton comes away the weekend. Unbelievable. Unbelievably tough. On Saturday, one person broke par. And that was our boy Max Homa, who broke par.
The Shankopotamus.
Oh, how about that? Did you like that?
That was good.
So for those who aren't familiar, he was over probably greenside right, it looked like, trying to hit a big flop shot and just hosel rocket straight at the camera.
There was a fan standing relatively close, and you see the guy kind of duck. I mean, it wasn't going to hit him, but he flinched like the ball was whizzing by him. And
Yes.
also, for those of you that don't know, us being a victim of this, Max Homa is notorious for grilling people's swings on social media.
He roasted me.
Specifically ScottyTee.
He roasted me. He was not wrong. That's the thing.
Yeah,
I do drink beer and I play a lot of golf. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what you want from me.
Yeah, he was pretty spot on. So he totally roasts people on Twitter and Instagram who post their swings. And was this karma? Was this the golf gods getting back at him? It could have been.
It could have been.
But he said, I accept all feedback for that swing. So that was pretty interesting. Back to Tyrrell.
Yes.
Tyrrell.
Mr.
T, whatever.
We'll call him. Well, no, KJ calls
I like
me
Tyrrell.
T. All right.
He I want don't quote me on this, but I believe I saw today that he was the first person since 2006 to win a tournament having 2 rounds over par.
That wouldn't surprise me. That's how tough Bay Hill was playing. Look, the nasty weather came in on the weekend. On Saturday or after Thursday, who was leading the tournament? I don't remember, but I remember seeing Matt Every's name up there. Death, Taxes, and Matt Every playing well at the Bay Hill or at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. But then he ended up missing the cut.
I think he shot 83.
It was either 83, 84. Let me check that real quick.
I think it was an 83.
83, yep.
65, 83.
It happens, man.
Wow.
Like, that's golf. He was on the No Laying Up podcast this week, and he was kind of having fun with it. He was like, yeah, it happens. But let's see. Tyrrell Hatton won at 4 under for the tournament. I like it because it's not your 18 under. The last couple of weeks between the Honda Classic and Bay Hill, I keep calling it Bay Hill Invitational. Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bay Hill, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Bay Hill has delivered this week, and it's because of the weather that came in. Greens really firmed up. Fairways were pretty tight. The rough was long. And I think that just proves, like, to go on a little side tangent, golf courses don't need to be 8,000 yards to make it tough. I don't know how far it plays. Okay, well, shit, that's kind of long. It plays at 74 or 54. But point is that, look, if it's 7,400 yards, pros can still destroy golf courses that long. You'll still see 15, 16 under when conditions, if the conditions are nice and appropriate and no wind. But when the wind's up, it's cold, greens are firm, you're going to have somebody win at 4 under par. Tyrrell Hatton shot over par his last 2 rounds and still won, which was amazing. I think you said that earlier. Kudos to you. 4 people under par for the tournament. Bryson DeChambeau finished his 4th. Sung Jae, your boy, Rhoback Interview. We just got off the phone with Rhoback. They are awesome. Matt, Kristina, Kevin, had a blast with them. Stay tuned for that.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. We're going to talk Rhoback. We're going to talk some golf. I'm going to put the time in the description, so check that out below of where that is. Let's see. Keith Mitchell finished even par, T5. Danny Lee. How about Danny Lee? I haven't seen him since the 2015
Yeah, it's been a little quiet.
Tour Championship. Remember when him and Rickie were kind of getting into it on Twitter? Shout out to my boy Micah. He was a big Danny Lee fan. Micah, hope you're listening, man. But, yeah, let's see. Rory McIlroy finishes +4. Look, I don't want to get into this. It's really easy to get caught up on this, and this kind of transitions me. Well, first off, Tyrrell Hatton, congratulations. Deserved it. Played in very tough conditions. Was able to weather the storm, pun intended, better than anybody else out there on the golf course. That's why he won. He is a content machine. His probably most famous video is when he just like hits that little flare out shot and he looks at his caddy. He's like, "Have you seen a worse golf shot?" Caddy doesn't respond. No, seriously, answer the question. No, that's what I thought. He's just, and then he like flicks off the golf course. You see that video, T-Bone? He gave it like the up yours and flicks off the water after he knocks it in the water. It was hilarious, dude. I'm not the biggest Tyrrell Hatton fan. I think just because it just kind of it doesn't rub me the wrong way. It's just, he's kind of a hothead. Is a hothead the right word? What do you think?
So I feel like on this podcast, all I do is talk about people I hate.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and...
It's easy to sometimes.
I'm going to try and change that a little bit, but not today. Because Tyrrell Hatton used to be up with Patrick Reed on my level of golfers I don't like.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's just the just whininess, like just complaining with everything. And I was always kind of like, you're on the PGA Tour. I mean, it could be a lot worse, but it does seem that a lot of the times, or more recently, his complaining or pissed offness or whatever on the course is pretty damn funny, and I think he kind of treats it like a joke now.
Yeah.
Which has made me like him a little more. But he does complain a lot. There's also another funny video, and
that is true. He's embraced it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we want from Patrick Reed a little
Yeah.
bit, just to embrace the villain, if you will, for lack of a better term. I don't think Tyrrell Hatton is near on the level of being a villain by any means. So I want to make that clear. He is not a villain. He's probably a really likable guy. Like, I would love to go get drunk and play golf with him sometime. That would be a blast. Because I relate to that really well. It's just he's not your usual PGA Tour player.
Yeah.
But it is almost Patrick Reed.
A little. He just
but not
whines
near
a
the
lot.
level.
He just whines a lot.
He whines like Patrick Reed.
Yeah.
But he embraces it, and he's like, it was kind of a crappy day out there, but like, whatever.
Yeah.
As opposed to Patrick Reed and the PGA Tour, it's like, oh, it's not my fault. It's never my fault.
Yeah.
That's my Patrick Reed impersonation.
There was a funny video of Tyrrell Hatton, and it was a European Tour event, and he's right in his backswing, a porta potty door closes, and he's like super pissed off. He's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And it was his fiance that walks out of the bathroom, and he was like, "Oh shit, I guess I can't get mad at that."
I think that's what I'm talking about. It's like, oh, like, yeah, I got irrationally mad there. Recognize I have a temper, but like, that's funny. That's what I want. Tyrrell Hatton, you know what? Now that we're talking about it, I'm probably going to turn into a fan. He has kind of the same last name as me. First name, last name. Anyway, all right, let's move on. T-Bone, how's the fashion out there, man? I want to talk some Rory McIlroy here before we close off. But, I mean, bottom line, conditions were tough. Congrats. Tyrrell Hatton, Leishman, Sung J M, another really good showing. Bryson, Joel Damon, sneaky top 5 finish, T5 finish. But, T-Bone, fashion, what you got this week, man?
So,
oh, yeah. We're both adjusting, getting ready.
I don't know where to start, but I'll start with, Rickie Fowler. So, Puma in general has launched some dynamite Arnold Palmer gear for this week. I don't know if you saw Rickie's bag. He had a golf bag that had all the umbrellas, green, yellow, red.
His golf balls were
going.
His golf ball was completely on a Palmer logo.
Yeah, the TaylorMade golf balls had the umbrellas on it. Anything Arnold Palmer. Anything Arnold Palmer that's on clothing, golf balls, whatever, I'm all in. Absolutely love it. And within, I'd say, probably the last maybe 3 to 5 years, they started doing the winner of the tournament gets a red cardigan sweater that Arnie was famous for wearing throughout his career. To pay tribute, Rickie was rocking a dynamite. I mean, just swag dripping pink cardigan with a matching shirt and hat, and it was one of his best looks he's ever had. And that's saying a lot because he's had a lot of good looks out there, but it was just complete swag.
He looked good.
It was money. Couldn't have paid tribute in a better way.
R.I.P. to the king. Yeah, no, he looked great. Is it the winner gets that red cardigan?
Yeah.
I think Rickie would look really good if he ever wins the Arnold Palmer Invitational.
He looked good in the pink. He would look good in the red as well. So
yes,
that was the
unfortunately
golf
nowhere to be seen at the top of the leaderboard though. Seems to be a common thing with Rickie Fowler these days. Unfortunately, because we love Rickie. I think everybody's on the Rickie train around here.
Everyone.
Yeah. I don't know anybody who doesn't not like Rickie Fowler. It's just really easy to poke fun at Rickie Fowler for his, frankly, lack of wins.
Correct.
Which kind of, we compared him to Tommy Fleetwood last week. It also is worth noting that Rickie Fowler has won the Scottish Open. Pretty big tournament. It just stinks that...
And a major.
And the Players is this week. Players Championship coming up. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Some big news coming out of PGA Tour HQ. But to put a bow on the Arnold Palmer Invitational, conditions were tough. Tyrrell Hatton, congratulations. Fashion was on point. I think it was a good week. Honda Classic, Bay Hill have both delivered the last couple weeks, and that's what you want with the Florida swing. The Florida swing is great. The California swing is fine. It gets you through winter. We spring forward this week. Golf season is officially here.
It started.
I'm playing tomorrow/today if you're watching this now, which is great. I'm very excited about that. On a Tuesday. Sign me up for that. But that's because Little White Ball is live. We don't need the work. Just Little White Balls Live. I'm kidding. So golf season is here. Florida swing. I really do like the Florida swing. I think moving the players to March helps a lot. And the more I think about it, it's great. I'm a big fan of the players moving to March.
Do you know what also gets me in the mood for golf season?
What's that? Rope hats?
Yes, of course.
Rope hats. Rhoback.
Coming soon. Just stay tuned. For all my Golf Channel fans out there, when they've got the coverage going on Sunday night for the tournament ahead,
It's nice.
that gets you where you need to be as a golf fan.
Hey, did you see that Golf Channel's moving the headquarters from Orlando to Connecticut?
Really?
Yep. We didn't really talk about that last week, even though the news came out. Just because I don't know if even the employees have much details on that yet, so I don't really want to talk about it as much, at least right now, until we get a little bit more information. But because, lives are going to be changed. People are going to lose their jobs and with relocation. But, Golf Channel is owned by NBC. NBC's headquarters, I believe, are in the Northeast in Connecticut. But Golf Channel what's more golf than Orlando?
Yeah.
So that's why it's kind of a tricky, delicate situation that kind of came out. But some big news coming out of the PGA Tour this week. Did you see what was coming out? Well, okay, first off, I took a couple of screenshots.
Hit me.
The field hit 50.5% of the greens in regulation at Bay Hill this week. That's the lowest percentage of greens hit in an event on the PGA Tour since the 2008 Open Championship. So, conditions were tough. Shout out to Sean Martin on that. He got that one. So, big news coming out. Players is this week. PGA Tour is always very strategic with how they release their news. This is the flagship event of the PGA Tour. So, it came out this week that new partnership of deals came out with their media rights company. Now, if you want to get into, which maybe we should do this at a different date because it's really complicated, the way that the PGA Tour is set up with their media rights. How, frankly, any professional sports organization is set up with their media rights, especially now with digital media, social media. A lot of the negotiations that happened were in the very young and beginning stages of Twitter. Facebook was barely around yet when all these deals were negotiated. Social media and technology has evolved drastically in the meantime. So the PGA Tour was one of really the first big organizations that came out with a new deal with all these big media companies. Think about, Scaff, because this really hit home for me, like college conferences. There's always realignment that goes on with it. How's that water? Tasting good? I couldn't see your face. I was looking in the camera. I couldn't see your face. Okay.
Continue.
When it comes to like college realignment, because at the time I was a Baylor student, Texas A&M left for the SEC. People always have their eye on 2024 because I believe that's when the contract dates expire for the Big 12 Championship with their TV deals. So a lot of these conferences and whatnot revolve around their TV deals. So the PGA Tour was coming up. New deal was struck with CBS, NBC, and let's see. This is from Jason Sobel. The PGA Tour announces new rights deal reportedly worth $1 billion per year, during which every shot, every player will be available on digital platforms. I kind of got a couple things mixed up here. But point is, new deal that's going to generate $600 to $700 million worth of revenue for the PGA Tour. Now, as a golf fan, I think I'm excited about this. That's even what I tweeted. I'm cautiously optimistic because hopefully with these new deals, we will see more golf. That's what it comes down to from the viewer's experience, from my experience, from your experience. We just want to see more golf, right? Am I wrong on that?
No, you're spot on. That's what our last episode was about.
Yes, how CBS just botched the coverage at Riviera.
When there's a top, I want to see a top.
I want to see a top. So the PGA Tour has announced new 9-year domestic rights media portfolio that will lead to significantly expanded content offerings and improving fan experience from the years to come. That came from the PGA Tour account. Like I said, cautiously optimistic. The PGA Tour is making a boatload of money off of this. We joke, follow the money. whenever it comes down to it. But at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. It's going to be across CBS, Comcast/NBC Sports, the Walt Disney Company /ESPN Plus. So they're able to use these platforms to hopefully just distribute their content more. But at the same time, these media companies are paying a shit ton of money for this. It will be interesting to see how it plays out. And in the next few years, if just me as a golf fan, as you as a golf fan, if we see more golf. I think that's what it comes down to. But the PGA Tour is making a shit ton of money on this, man. We better see more golf. I think that's where I'm getting at. That's why I'm cautiously optimistic. Because I could very easily see the PGA Tour and big companies like this just grabbing the money and not improving the experience whatsoever. To quote Peter Kostis, maybe they don't give a rat's ass. Who knows? I guess time will tell. That's all I got. But that was actually really big news. Also, for the Players' Championship this week, they're going to be showing, I believe, pretty much every shot, which is very similar to what the Masters did last year. Remember when the Masters came out with their app? You can see all of it. I love it.
It does seem, golf coverage does seem like one of those things that's outdated. It's like, why don't we...
It's also one of the hardest, though, because there's so many holes. It's not like an NBA game where you're in a little court and you can just go back and forth, maybe get a camera, like a sideline view and an under the basket view. You have 18 holes out there, and you're on hundreds of acres of land.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Not millions of acres of land. You get the point.
Yeah, it's definitely harder to... It's a beast. Like, you're having to...
It's a lot.
And I guess when there is a good shot that's not in the final group, they're always pretty good about cutting to that most of the time.
NBC is, not CBS. Yeah. Top.
But, yeah, hopefully this will be...
I don't think we're going to let go of this top thing.
No, I still haven't seen it.
Still haven't seen it?
No.
T-Bone, we got to get you on that. I'll send you a link, all right?
Cool. Yeah, send me that link.
Definitely. But players this week, and defending players champion is Mr. Rory McIlroy. McIlroy shot 4 under, final round. I don't want to get into this narrative again of Rory can't close because I had a revelation over the weekend, T-Bone. Want to hear what it is?
Let's hear it.
I don't think we appreciate Rory McIlroy enough. Rory McIlroy, again, comes in with the T5 finish. That mofo finishes, it seems, in the top 5 every single week. Do you know how hard it is to do that? We always talk about the difficulty of the PGA Tour. I don't see Justin Thomas on this leaderboard. I don't see many names that I would recognize on a day-in basis outside of Bryson. Harris English finishes T9. Matthew Fitzpatrick. You scroll down, okay, there's Morikawa, there's Scheffler. Patrick Reed finished T15. But you know what? You're finishing T15. That's not going to get me to turn on the TV unless he's in the final group or something like that. Jordan Spieth, what happened to him? Jason Day had the withdrawal from the Bay Hill. There are a lot of guys that are so their names are so recognizable, and yet if we see them at the top of the leaderboard 5 to 10 times a year, that's a pretty good season because they're probably going to win at least once. Rory McIlroy is there at every single tournament, it seems like. He's in the final group. Now, there is that discussion whether or not he can and can't close. Okay, let's table that, though, for a sec. I just think we need to appreciate Rory McIlroy a little bit more for how good he is. Is he a killer? I don't know. Does he have that killer instinct, that closing mentality? I don't know.
Sometimes.
Part of me wants to think yes because he has won 4 majors. He has, is it 4 or 5?
I think it's 4.
I think it's 4. I might be wrong. Fact check me on that. Somebody. But he has major championships. He has a Players' Championship as well, which I forgot he was the Players' Champion last year for a minute because it's so easy to dog on Rory. And, sorry, I'm looking up major championships for Rory McIlroy just so I'm wrong. 4. Ha. PGA Championship, U.S. Open, and British Open. Perfect. One thing, though, that I don't think we appreciate Rory McIlroy enough outside of just his great play is how much of a leader he is within the PGA Tour. Tiger Woods still moves the needle more than anybody here. But there's one thing that we haven't talked about on this podcast, And frankly, I haven't wanted to talk about it because I don't think anything's going to happen from it, and that's the Premier Golf League. Are you familiar with the Premier Golf League,
Yeah.
what they're trying to do? Essentially, if you're not familiar, they're trying to start a new worldwide golf organization, golf league, where they're going to offer players a lot of money, and it's going to be Saudi Arabia-backed, Saudi money, and it's where they pay appearance fees, and then, it'll be a little bit different than the PGA Tour. If players leave the PGA Tour, that's not good for the PGA Tour. Now, Rory McIlroy was one of the first players to come out and talk against the Premier Golf League. We can dive into the Premier Golf League at a different point, advantages, different disadvantages of it. But Rory McIlroy comes out and is like, look, I don't think this is a good idea. And if you're the Premier Golf League and you don't get Rory McIlroy, Brooks Koepka, good luck. Unless you buy your stock into like a Cole Hammer or any young up-and-coming amateurs who you are betting on to become big time. But you're not going to get the big dogs. And even when the big dogs come out and say, no, I'm not playing on it, that's tough. And when he gave that interview and he was talking about it, Rory McIlroy is always very honest with the media, maybe to a fault sometimes. But when he says, I don't like the Premier Golf League for X, Y, Z reasons, because of the schedule, and he even said, he goes, I don't like where the money is coming from. That was like a really big thing. I was like, man, that takes some balls to say that. And that's when it hit me. I don't think we appreciate Rory McIlroy enough as a leader. A leader amongst his peers.
Continuing on that, Rory. So one thing with Tiger, when he was the best golfer on the planet, he made his own schedule, his own brief schedule. It's awesome having Rory, one of the best player, probably the best player on the tour, playing practically like every week.
Seems like it.
Packed schedule, which is what the fans want. I mean, when Rory's playing, that's just a whole nother dimension to add to watching a golf tournament. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the good players really kind of pick their schedule, and, if they win the FedEx Cup, great. And I think Rory goes into the year going, I'm going to win it. I'm going to get a head start. FedEx Cup's a priority, and I'm going to create my schedule around that. And I think that's pretty respectable, especially as a fan.
Definitely. We're there to see him. And again, Tiger moves the needle more than anybody. We're big Tiger guys here. Most people in the world are big Tiger guys. Tiger is good for golf. Make that very clear. Shout out to Lopez. Shout out to Garza. Tiger, though, at the peak of his dominance, was kind of an ass. He was definitely an ass. He didn't like talking to anybody. He didn't really want to mingle with his peers outside of Mark O'Meara. That's not a good leader. Even though he moves the needle from viewing perspectives and whatnot, as a leader amongst his peers, I think Rory McIlroy is head and shoulders the best that has come in a very, very, very long time. And I just think we need to appreciate Rory McIlroy a little bit more.
I agree.
Love you, Rory. Big fan.
It's easy to.
I forgot how big of a fan I am of Rory.
It's easy to shit on him when he finishes top 10 every time.
Oh, backdoor top 10.
Yeah.
You know what? It's still a top 10.
He's great. Great guy, great player. Let's remember that.
Let's remember Rory. Still 30 years old, dude. That guy has still major. He is the best driver of the golf ball. His iron play is unbelievable. I don't think he's going to win at the Players this week, but just because he was one last year, that's the only reason why I'm not picking him. It's hard to go back-to-back, especially at TPC Sawgrass. So, Rory McIlroy, as a leader, as a golfer, I forgot how big of a fan I was, and I was just reminded of that this week. But please win a major. It makes it that much easy. Roy, cheering for you, man. So, TPC Sawgrass, Players Championship. Man, I wish we had some more time, but I kind of want to cut it off a little bit close here. But is there an official stance on 300 par? Is if the Players is a major? Or is this just our own personal opinion, not speaking for the organization?
I think we got majority vote.
If it's just me and you, then that is majority. The Players is a major. Look, there's no doubt.
First.
Look, the whole majors thing, majors not thing, it's all fun and it's all tongue in cheek. But there is something to it. It's a strong, strong field. Now, Tiger Woods backing out. Not a great case for if it's a major or not. But then again, there's been years where he hasn't played the Masters. Tiger, above all else, will take care of his body, will take care of his health. If he says he's not ready, he's not ready. Which kind of stinks that he's not there because that's where I got to see Tiger at the Players last year. But advantages of not going, I will not be sleeping in a Denny's, which is fantastic. But I tell you what, though, the Players is a fantastic experience. PGA Tour HQ is a beautiful place, Ponte Vedra Beach. If you have a chance to go to the Players, I would highly recommend it. It's phenomenal. 17 greens, 16. Outside of the Masters, I've never seen anything like it. It's just an electric atmosphere. I don't want to compare it to 16 at Waste Management because I don't think that's fair because those like comparing apples to oranges. They're two totally different things. But T-Bone, we should go to the Players next year, man. How's that sound?
Yeah. I almost went with you I think 2 years ago, but I messed up my knee and couldn't walk well.
I remember you.
So
really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So I was like, that probably wouldn't be great for a golf tournament.
I'm trying to think. I don't remember that. I don't think I went 2 years ago. So I went in 2016, 2019. I went one other time in between. Can't remember if it was 2017 or 2018. I'll have to go back and check. I think it was 2018 when Webb won. Oh, yeah, it was. Had way too many cocktails that day. That's why I don't remember that. So, anyway, Players Championship, the strength of field is fantastic. Whether or not it's major or not, that's up to you. It's a made-up thing anyway, made up by the media. It's definitely, whenever somebody enters the Hall of Fame, though, you list a major counts and a major. So it's in the same breath, at least. But who really cares? It's a great tournament. Tough golf course. Second year, it's been moved back to March. Overseeded again. I expect it to look fantastic out there. T-Bone, off the top of your head, who you got winning? I didn't prep him for any of this, so he is going off literally the top of his head.
I want to pick Sung J.M.
That guy's on fire.
I think Sung Jae's fire is going to
burn out
a little bit this week. Let's go with my boy Xander Schauffele.
I don't hate that pick, actually. What was our initial picks? I don't remember. Hold on. I think I wrote this down. Golf picks for major picks. Let's see. Players Championship. Kyle picked, what's his name?
Joaquin Niemann.
Joaquin Niemann. Scaff, you picked John Rahm. And I picked Jordan Spieth. I got pressured in the Jordan Spieth on that one. I don't really want to stand by that one.
I don't really want Rambo either after what he did last year.
Yeah. I like that pick. Let's see. Some highlight groups. McIlroy, Koepka, Rahm. Xander, Rose, Adam Scott. Webb Simpson, DJ Mickelson. Rickie, JT, Spieth. Getting the spring break crew back together with that one. Wolf, Morikawa, Hovland. Wow, how about that one?
That's got some fire.
Reed, Matsuyama, Cantlay, Kuchar, Stenson, Garcia, DeChambeau, M, Woodland. You know, I think I'm gonna go Bryson.
Wow.
Yeah, just after reading all those groups. Yep, I'm gonna go Bryson. Kuchar, Stenson, Garcia have all won it. Woodland, he won the U.S. Open, but I don't really expect him to do too much here. McIlroy, no. Koepka, I just don't think he cares, unfortunately. I don't want to pick Xander because you did. Spieth can't find the face of the club, so by default, Bryson DeChambeau. That's what I got.
Like it.
We appreciate y'all sticking with us. Rhoback Interview is coming in here right after this. Before we get out of here, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being with us. T-Bone, I'm inspired to do some fun challenges, especially after watching more of the Bogey Brothers stuff. Sounds like fun. We should do 3-4 club challenges, trick shots. Yeah. I'm starting to think of ideas for the Masters. I need you to help me write a script.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Be good.
I came up with everything by myself last year, except for that one line which you came up with. We're not going to talk about that.
I vaguely remember.
Yeah, the Caroline Wozniacki line.
Yep.
Yeah. Man, I'm really cheering for Rory at the Masters this year, I think. But subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts. Give us a review. 5 stars would be great. Apple Podcasts specifically. If If you like this video on YouTube, give us a like. Comment below on what you think of Bay Hill. What do you think of Tyrrell Hatton? Because he's kind of a content king, kind of a hothead. What do you think about Rory McIlroy stepping out, really talking out against the Premier Golf League? Is he an underrated leader / even golfer of this generation? And also comment below, who do you think is going to win the Players Championship? Preseason pick, Jordan, Rambo. I'm picking, no, not Spieth anymore. Who did I just pick? DeChambeau. Xander. KJ, let us know who you got as well. That's all I got. Rhoback coming in hot. They're awesome. Seriously, like they're not paying us here or anything. We just love their products and we love them as people, what they're doing, their initiatives, and polos are sick. Athletic wear, koozies as well. Koozies are fire, man.
We're stocked up right here.
We are stocked up by then.
Swagged out.
And so stay tuned for that great interview. Thanks everybody for tuning in. And remember,
Little White Ball's life.
Okay, we have a very special guest, a few guests with us here on the line. T-Bone, we are joined by the founders of Rhoback clothing line. How are y'all doing?
We're good.
We're great.
We're great. Thanks for having us on.
Yes, we got Kevin, Kristina, and Matt on the horn with us, coming all the way from the East Coast. Man, I've been looking forward to this all day. We were talking a little bit beforehand, before we started recording. I'm so pumped to have y'all on. And, man, we just kind of want to start into it, dive right into it. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Absolutely. We're ready. We've been looking forward to it, too.
Perfect. So really just kind of want to start off with some background. How do y'all all know each other, and how did y'all get started with Rhoback?
Sure. Well, Matt and I are married. So we married for 3 years, but Matt and Kevin went to the same college as one another. Went to Davidson College. And then I met Matt post-college. We both worked in finance at General Electric. All three of us kind of had the itch to be entrepreneurs as well. So we have a bond there. And together we all kind of figured out that there was just a gap in the market. There was something there that we all felt really passionate about, and that was creating awesome polos. So that's kind of how we all got together.
That's amazing. That really is. So, obviously this is a golf podcast, and we're actually repping some Rhoback here. I like wearing these on the golf course. So what is? Yeah, absolutely. We got to represent. Me and Kyle, our third host, we were playing in the South Texas 4-ball a couple of weeks ago, and was repping the Rhoback out there, and got a couple compliments on the shirt. Looked great, and the pullover. Can't recommend their stuff enough.
Nice. Did you take home any crystals? Did you guys win?
Oh, unfortunately, we did not. The game kind of left. It's golf. It happens.
Hey, that's okay.
Yeah, so it was kind of rough. We shot two-man best ball, 72 the first day, and we came back strong 66 the second day. So we jumped from 28 to 12, which we were pretty happy about.
That's solid. Hope you had fun.
Yeah. So what is it about golf that is entrenched with Rhoback or kind of y'all's clientele? How do you connect golf with Rhoback?
Yeah. So between me, Kristina, and Kevin, we have some golf experience. I grew up playing. I'm probably the purest of the golfers here. I grew up playing tournaments. Was kind of a diehard growing up. Tried to play in college, didn't quite make it, but it's still been a big part of my life. So growing up, I used to wear polos, almost every day, or would try to, because I try to play golf every day. And I just noticed, especially growing up, that polos were more designed for a 60-year-old guy instead of a younger guy. And all of our polos were baggy. The sleeves were long. I was kind of swimming and everything. And it was, most of them were cotton too, so I was sweating through everything. So then that was kind of the impetus for why we wanted to start a polo brand. And Kevin and Kristina, they felt the same way. We thought there was a market for it. And sure enough, we end up starting Rhoback, and we try to make the perfect performance polo that's transitional. You can go from activity to activity, but sure enough, golfers really gravitated to it quickly early on, which we anticipated, and that's kind of who we were targeting to start. And, because of that, we've tried to develop relationships with some, up and coming golfers, trick shot artists, develop relationships with the PGA Tour, eventually try to sell at some of these big events. But that said, because our roots are with our, crave activity mindset and creating a really fun transitional polo that will, transition from one activity to the next, we also try not to just completely stay in the golf world and make sure, we develop products and we fine tune the products so they can, perform outside the golf course. You can play 9 in them and then you can enjoy a beer and, hit the town in the same polo. So that's kind of how golf plays in with the brand. But Kevin and Kristina, let me know if I'm missing anything.
No, you nailed it. And ultimately, kind of as we started going down the track of trying to create this, it really started with the goal of creating a performance polo that we would want to wear and all our friends would want to wear. So something that, guys between 25 and 35, a little bit younger, a little bit older, could just throw on if they're going out to play, a round of 18, or if they're going to their local bar to, root on their college team or whatever it was, create that perfect transitional polo. And ultimately, for us, it was all about the quality and making sure we had the best fabric on the market. Don't cut any corners there on the quality of the fabric. And then making sure our collars were perfect and would kind of retain their shape and wouldn't flatten out after you wore it once, but also wouldn't be too stiff that they would annoy a golfer, during their full swing through.
Yeah, I think me and Scott, just kind of hearing everything you guys said, growing up being golfers and playing in Texas heat, everything you guys have hit on is exactly what we look for in a polo. I remember growing up and playing with, those like thick piqué fabric polos and just sweating my ass off. Or even if I have a nice polo, I don't know if you guys use this term. I've heard it from some other vendors, but the bacon collar. And this thing, oh yeah, there's no bacon on this collar. I'm wearing one right now. This thing is money. So I know exactly what you guys are talking about, and I think you guys have hit it spot on.
That's awesome.
If anything, it's frozen bacon.
There we go. Nice.
Yes.
Another thing I thought was interesting when I looked into you guys a little more was the name of Rhoback, kind of how that all came about.
Yeah, so Matt and I are sitting next to our 120-pound Rhodesian Ridgeback right now. His name is Bunker. He's kind of the inspiration behind that, like the brand. He's always craving activity, always wants to do the next fun thing, whether it's running in the park or, chasing a ball or whatever. It's kind of that whole ethos we're trying to capture in our brand is always looking for the next fun activity to do in your polo or your t-shirt or your quarter zip. And also there's a huge nod to the Rhodesian Ridgeback on the polo itself. It's the logo, but it's also that ridge that you'll see on all of our products on the back of the neck. Every Rhodesian Ridgeback has a ridge of hair that stands up on the back of its spine. So that's kind of like our nod to the breed. And they're just a great, fun, energetic breed. We love our pet. He's the best.
Except for now, but Bunker's passed out right now. You hear him snoring.
And also, who doesn't love dogs? I mean, it's a subtle logo, on the chest, but it's still, you still know right when you see it, like that's a cool dog right there. So that we're dog people, and we think, most of our friends are, so we thought it'd be the perfect match.
If you're not a dog person, if you don't like dogs, I don't like you. That's what I generally say. Man, yeah, and obviously if you go to y'all's Instagram page, you can tell golf is a big part of what y'all are doing. I think y'all were posting the video the other day of Matt. I'm not sure if that was you at Top Golf with the club that was sliding through the other day. Who is that?
Those are our friends. It was Micah, GM Clark. I don't know if you follow GM Clark, but GM Golf. His friend Micah and Matt Sharf. It's those two who often wear Rhoback. We have a good relationship with those guys, but they have so much fun.
If you're on Instagram and you're kind of in the golf world, definitely go give those guys a follow. I think it's at GM Golf and at Micah Morris, at Matt Sharf. If you go to @GM Golf, you can get to all the other guys, but these guys are doing some really fun, cool, different stuff in the golf space. It's really fun to see stuff like that. And we love, meeting up with them every now and then and doing, videos like that.
Scott, we can try that when we get down to Texas.
Absolutely. I'm about to say, T-Bone, it sounds like we got to start doing some trick shots with some Rhoback gear on. Might get down on the page. No, that's great. Well, I was at Topgolf on Saturday, and I was like, man, I kind of want to try something like that, but it was getting a little rowdy, so we didn't want to try anything dumb. But
well, I was gonna say my trick shots would be unintentional and would still maybe make the page.
Just keep the camera rolling.
Absolutely, you never know what's gonna happen. There's one golf event that I know that y'all are at a couple years ago, and that was the Ryder Cup in 2018. How was that? Because I've heard that people who went to the Ryder Cup it was a lot of fun outside of the USA getting just pummeled by the Europeans. But how was that experience?
Oh,
It
man.
was-
Matt and Kevin showed up as presidents. So Kevin was Washington, Matt was dressed as Lincoln, and everyone in France thought that Kevin was Napoleon. So that was incredible. We went with a bunch of friends, and we got to experience both Paris and a tournament that was like no other. And I vowed to never miss a Ryder Cup ever again because we had so much fun. But yeah, what would you add to that, Matt?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And just growing up, seeing, watching the Ryder Cup every couple of years, it was surreal being there. And then what was really cool about going in Europe on foreign soil, there weren't that many Americans. There definitely were some, but especially when we dressed as U.S. presidents, like we engaged with the players. I remember on the putting green, we were giving fist pumps to Patrick Reed, to Justin Thomas as they were getting ready, and they interacted with us like we were part of their little they were walking to that crazy first tee, and the last thing they saw
it was enemy territory.
Yeah, the last thing they saw before that really nerve-wracking first tee was our goofy faces dressed up as the president.
And a little bit of background on that is we had this idea to make a fun Ryder Cup hype up video for Team USA. So we actually bought these costumes and had one of our buddies who, reluctantly last minute agreed to be Rocky in the video. And you can check it out on our Instagram @Rhoback. But we proceeded to film this hype video in DC. We posted it, one day later, and it got, I think, well over 1 million views. Like, Barstool picked it up, Golf Digest picked it up, a bunch of, big accounts. And it was just super, super fun. And that kind of led to us winding up at the Ryder Cup a week later in Paris, dressed as the presidents, which was a super electric event. And like Kristina said, I don't think we'll ever miss one again.
I was about to ask, so y'all are going to be at Whistling Straits this year?
That's a goal. We think we have tickets lined up. That's the only tough part, but we'll see. How about y'all? Will you have any? Do you think you'll make it there?
We're kind of looking at each other right now. Not totally sure yet. I got a honeymoon coming up to pay for, so we'll see. we'll see about getting up to Wisconsin, but it's definitely on a bucket list to at least get to a Ryder Cup. Whether it be, obviously being in the United States would be great, but I kind of like what you said. There's something to it about going in foreign soil in enemy territory, because those Europeans they're tough to beat. Obviously we haven't beaten them in Europe since '94. That's a long time.
Yeah, mm-hmm. You could tell walking the course that it was so tight. Usually, it's tough to really tell and get in a player's head, when you're at a tournament because you're viewing it from the side. But you could really tell how tight the fairways were and, how much trouble we were going to be in as the American team.
Yeah, and those tighter courses don't fare well for Team USA considering I feel like we talk about it a good amount on the podcast, just how distance is really the only thing that matters. Bomb it down. If they don't grow out the rough, it's going to be no problem. But even at Bay Hill this last weekend, you saw that the rough was growing up. The greens were firm, kind of like they were down in France, and scores were high, which I kind of liked. It's a nice change of pace than your -18 that you see week in, week out.
Definitely. I agree. That's why it's so fun watching U.S. Opens.
Yeah, and one thing that's interesting about the golf world that some people don't realize is that, the Ryder Cup is hosted by the PGA of America. And then if it goes to Europe, it's hosted by the European Tour. But then there's the PGA Tour, then the USGA. There's so many different golf organizations. They all work hand in hand, but you kind of have to build relationships with each organization if you want to go to each of those events.
Yeah, and I think PGA of America is in the process of moving to your neck of the woods, a little to the side of you over in Dallas. So you guys will have some home base there.
That's right. It's funny looking at the PGA Tour or the PGA Championship schedule. I think they got to build out to like 2030, it seems like, but then you have 2 dates in between, like 2023 at the PGA new course that they're building up in Frisco, which I think they actually just opened their headquarters this week, if I'm not mistaken.
That's awesome. Oh, cool.
Yeah, so we'll have to get up there, see if we can get some access to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess piggybacking off the Ryder Cup, is that y'all's favorite golf event that you've been to, or what are some other your favorite golf events, whether it be PGA Tour or other major events?
I think that one was definitely my favorite, and I think same with Kristina and Kevin in terms of the camaraderie. But it's just so hard to beat.
New York is pretty bumping, though. I mean, anytime there's a tournament on Long Island or Westchester or around the city, it's pretty fun. Just because the crowd is definitely a little more irreverent, and not to the point of being rude or anything, but it's definitely a very different and fun crowd. So that's probably another one we kind of enjoyed going to, just because of the high energy, out there in the group, and they were giving it to the Europeans, even though it wasn't even a Ryder Cup situation.
and then it's tough to beat Augusta. We can't talk about it for too long because Kristina hasn't been yet, but Kevin and I were lucky enough to go. One of our friends in college, his family had tickets or had badges, so we got to go. I got to go a few years, and each day at Augusta is a day I'll never forget. It's like heaven on earth, as I'm sure you guys know and everyone talks about. But yeah, that's tough to beat. But the Ryder Cup and any New York tournament, like Kevin's saying, is also way up there.
Since I don't want to talk about it too long, just what year did you go to the Masters?
First one was last year when Kevin and I were both there was when Sergio won. I think, what was that, 2016?
2017, I think.
17, okay.
Yeah.
And then while I was in college at Davidson, I got to go a couple times. So 2010 and 2011 as well. I should know the champs for those years, but we usually didn't go on Sundays, so we were just watching really good golf.
Right. I think that was Phil Mickelson and Charles Schwartzel.
Yeah, so 2011, it sounds like could have been pretty forgettable.
Yeah.
Brutal, man. It's never forgettable going to the Masters.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Tough crowd, T-Bone.
Charles doesn't help.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. So, in terms of even just golf courses in the area, you mentioned y'all are based in Charlottesville, kind of do some DC, somewhere in between. What are some of y'all's favorite courses to just go out and play a round of golf?
We have here in Charlottesville, we have a really nice, college-owned course where UVA, that's where they practice. It's called Birdwood. While Kristina and I were at business school here at UVA and Darden, that's what brought us to Charlottesville. We would get student rates there, and that's where we would test our early products. So we have a fun relationship, and that's kind of a special place in our heart is Birdwood. And then there's some other great courses around here.
Glenmore.
Glenmore's a great one. Keswick, Farmington, those are kind of the clubs that are around here that we usually go out there and play on occasion. But Kristina and Kevin, let me know if I'm missing any.
No, and then in DC, I mean, there's no shortage, from Bellhaven, to Columbia, and then if you want the old tried and true, East Potomac Golf Course just over the bridge, at National Park, golf course. You can, if you can't be convenient sometimes.
That's very true. What stinks is that right across the street from where I live, across the highway, they redid the entire golf course. So for the convenience thing, but it was an upgrade. It's Memorial Park, and that's where they're actually going to be moving the Houston Open to. So that's why they're completely tearing it up, redoing it. But T-Bone's having a chance to go out and play, but I haven't had a chance yet. I need to get out there. Yeah, that's great.
Another question I had for you guys. So when I look at the brand Rhoback, it looks like it's all about, being active. So I know we are a big golf podcast, and I'm frowned upon sometimes for bringing it up, but I'm kind of a big tennis guy. Are you guys like big tennis players, and kind of like, it looks like you do some stuff on the water and stuff?
I can't believe you just brought up tennis. This is a golf podcast, Scaff.
Not with Rhoback.
Got earmuffs.
Yeah, exactly.
I think when it comes down to it, we like any activity. Whether it's golf, tennis, basketball, shooting around, you name it, just getting out on the water. Kristina's an unbelievable skier. Matt is a badass barefoot water skier.
Wow.
Which if you've never seen that, it's pretty fun. I personally love tennis, and we just started playing a little bit of paddle, which is we'd never really gotten into, which is really, really fun. So if it's crave activity, Rhoback will be there. We're all about it, and we love anything that'll get you moving and outside, especially now that the clocks are fixed.
Absolutely.
I was joking the other day. I think I said it on Twitter that spring forward yesterday at daylight savings, it is now officially golf season, and I'm here for it.
There we go.
I'm here for it. Yes. Well, we're kind of running a little bit low on time here. So, what are some initiatives, or you mentioned y'all have a new line that's coming out at the end of the week? Maybe we can tease a little bit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we're a couple initiatives we're working on is we're about to release our spring break collection. So I think Kristina is going to let it out release it on, what is it, Sunday, Kristina?
Yep, working on the email, so that'll be a good one.
So we'll have some pretty unique, some a little more colorful than others, and then also have for your more traditional golfers that style too. But definitely check out the website on Sunday for our spring break collection. And then we just released some fun St. Patrick's Day prints, and we'll release another one of those tomorrow. And one of them is actually a unique, relationship we have, but we work with the FDNY Pipes and Drums Society. So it's kind of a charitable polo, and we donate 20% of the proceeds to them. So that's the St. Patrick's Day polo that we'll be releasing tomorrow.
That's fantastic. I got the President's Day polo on the President's Day 4th of July one that was reached out. Love that.
Nice.
The Old Glory.
Yes, the American flag on the back is just perfect touch, and Old Glory. That's awesome. And I guess real quick too, who's your favorite golfer? Favorite guy or favorite people to watch on the PGA Tour?
Oh man, it's tough not to say Tiger. At least for me, just growing up idolizing him, and then just to see him come back, such a cool, never give up. Always, you can always come back. That whole, I was in tears when he came back and won the Masters.
Absolutely.
That's tough to top that. But in terms of the up and coming guys, Rory's always been fun to watch. I guess he's not as much up and coming anymore. Matt Wolff, it's fun to see him and Brooks Koepka go back and forth this past weekend. Seems like he has some personality to him. Some guys who kind of challenge the traditional, swing or way of doing things. Bryson, as much hate as he gets, he's entertaining and engaging. Just to see him gain, 40 pounds over the winter. I've always wanted to do that, and just bulk up, but have never really been that dedicated to gaining yards on the drive. But go ahead, Kevin. Sorry.
No, and I'll say too, outside of, that top tier, there's also a lot of up and coming golfers that we work with. There's this guy, Trey Valentine out of Florida, who's a really cool guy. You can definitely check him out. And then we have a really fun relationship with Jose de Jesus Rodriguez, El Camarón. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him. He's called the Shrimp, but he's got one of the most unbelievable golf stories, or unbelievable stories in sports, period. You should definitely go. I think it's in Golf Magazine that they did a huge write-up on him last year. But this guy used golf to kind of escape poverty, down in Mexico, and proceed to elevate his whole family, and it's really one of the most amazing stories in golf. And at Rhoback, we're all about the underdog, and this story really encapsulates that. So definitely would recommend looking up El Camarón.
That's awesome.
I know what I'm doing right after we're done here. Look up El Camarón. So, no, y'all, this has been so much fun. Great talking with y'all. I'm a big fan of Rhoback. My fiance got me hooked on Rhoback here in the last few months, and big fan. Thank you again for coming on. Where can the good people out there listening find you, support you, and purchase some of your fantastic polos?
Yeah, you can go to rhoback.com. It's spelled RHOBACK, and you'll get a pop-up to sign up for our email list, so you can stay abreast of all of our new polos, new gear that comes out, and then also our Instagram account is where we have a lot of fun, engaging videos and pictures that we just love putting together.
At this time last year, we were actually down there for the Houston Rodeo, documenting it for our Instagram account. So we do a lot. We've been down to your neck of the woods. We had a lot of fun. I mean, that mutton busting was something else.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, no, it really is. With the whole coronavirus thing that's going on right now, some people are a little more scared to go to the rodeo, but I think I'm going to be heading, if not this week, then for sure next week. You were out there, right, Scaff, this week?
Oh, yeah. Chance the Rapper. That's a good time.
Nice.
Chance the Rapper.
Don't have too many deep fried Oreos.
Oh, they're so good, though. See, the rodeo proves that everything fried is just better.
Yep.
It's true.
Agreed.
How was y'all's trip to New Orleans? Was that last week that y'all went to that?
Yeah, that was last week.
That was amazing. We went for Mardi Gras, and Kevin had a full 24 hours there. Kristina and I actually flew out on a 5 a.m. flight from Richmond, and we flew out of New Orleans at 6:30 p.m. that night. So we really we took Bourbon Street by storm, and had a ton of fun. And we're feeling it the next morning, but we really enjoyed the time there. All the marching bands and everything. It was a blast.
Oh, it's so great down there. We were down there for the Sugar Bowl, and there's nothing like NOLA. There's nothing like NOLA.
Yeah, absolutely.
And well, again, Rhoback. I'm holding the koozie right now. Thomas is wearing the rope hat. Cheers. Go support them.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. And if there's anything that we can do to help or whatnot, please let us know. Y'all have been more than generous and very kind.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for repping it, and thanks for having us. Hopefully we'll see you guys soon.
Absolutely. We'll have to make a trip up there to the East Coast, and if everyone in Texas, let us know.
Will do. Coming up.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.